Hey friends, happy Sunday and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. This video is going up a little bit later than my typical schedule. That is because yesterday was Elijah's birthday and we had his birthday party, and I just did not have enough time in the day to get this video edited and do the voiceover. So I got it edited, and now today is Sunday morning and I'm doing the voiceover right quick before I get this uploaded for you guys. So I hope that y'all still enjoy it. I hope you get some meal ideas and recipe ideas. And I'm going to stop talking and go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. Friday night we had a chicken taco soup. This is one of those meals where it's like different every time you make it. You kind of just throw together whatever you have on hand. So if you remember last week, I made some chicken in the crock pot for quesadillas. So I decided to use that chicken in this instead of like fresh uncooked chicken. Just go ahead and add in that chicken that I already had cooked, and then I did a can of drained pinto beans, a can of drained black beans, a can of drained corn, a can of rotel, half a jar of salsa. I did some Knorr tomato bouillon and Knorr chicken bouillon, and then a little bit of taco seasoning, and gave that a good stir, and then put a lid on this. And since my chicken was already cooked, it didn't really need to cook that long. I think I cooked this on low for like 4 hours, but if you're using raw chicken, make sure you cook it for longer and get your chicken fully cooked, and then you can shred it up. And we like to top it with cheese, and we love these little tortilla strips. The kids like to put theirs on the side and add it as they eat it, and I like mine on top. I know some people like to do sour cream on theirs as well, but we opted not to do that this night, but it was delicious. Saturday night we had sloppy joes. I like to use the Pioneer Woman recipe with a couple of tweaks. So I start off with just a pound of ground beef. I always like to have the recipe because it makes a lot. And I'm just going to season that with a little bit of salt and pepper and get that completely browned. And then I forgot to hit record on the camera, but I added in the rest of my seasoning once it was browned. So usually I would add in some like raw onion and cook that in here as well, but because I didn't, I added in some dried minced onion. I did some garlic powder, a teaspoon of chili powder, half a teaspoon of dry mustard, a quarter teaspoon of some red pepper flakes, and then a little bit more salt and pepper to taste. I gave that a good stir, and then once all that was added in, I added in 3/4 of a cup of ketchup, a tablespoon of brown sugar, half a cup of water, a little splash of Worcestershire, and a splash of hot sauce. I give that all a good stir, and then I just let that simmer over like a medium-low heat until it starts to thicken up. Then we just have the sloppy joe mixture on some burger buns. The kids like cheese on theirs, and then we had some tater tots on the side. Sunday night we had this chicken and dumplings recipe that I saw on TikTok. It uses Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuits for the dumplings. So I start off by heating up 2 tablespoons of olive oil and 2 tablespoons of butter, and then once that is hot, I added in 1 pound of diced chicken and 1 chopped onion, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of parsley, half a teaspoon of dried thyme, and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. And I'm just going to cook that up until the chicken is no longer pink. Once that's done, I added in 3 minced garlic cloves. I think I did a little bit more actually because I like more garlic. And then 2 tablespoons of flour. I stirred that in and then let it cook for about a minute. Then I'm going to start adding in my chicken broth. You're going to need a total of 4 cups of chicken broth, but you're going to add in 1 cup of chicken broth and stir it in until it's smooth and scrape up any bits from the bottom. And then you can add in another 3 cups of chicken broth and 1 cup of milk, and then 1 can of drained mixed veggies is what I use. I believe in the original recipe she used frozen mixed vegetables, so you can use that if you want, or like frozen peas and carrots, whatever kind of veggies you want, just add those in there. And then you're just going to let that come to a simmer. While that is coming to a simmer, I mix together my Red Lobster biscuit mix with 3/4 of a cup of water, half a cup of shredded cheddar cheese, and the seasoning packet. And then once our stuff is simmering, we're going to add in the dumplings. I used my cookie scoop and just dropped spoonfuls of it into the simmering broth. And at this point, we're not going to stir it anymore. We're just going to add those dumplings in, trying to keep them from touching. And then once they're all in there, we're going to cover this and simmer it for 12 minutes, just leaving it alone, not stirring. After the 12 minutes, you can gently stir, and then this is ready to serve. This was creamy and delicious. I feel like I would like it to be a little bit less thick, like maybe another cup of broth would help with that, but it was really good. We liked the dumplings being the Cheddar Bay biscuits. I will definitely make this again and would recommend trying it. Monday night we had tacos, just some simple ground beef hard shell tacos. I didn't even make anything to go on the side of this. I was feeling ultra lazy. We had some salsa. The kids had a little bit of guacamole because we had like one little guacamole cup left over, and that was it. Chips, salsa, and tacos. Tuesday night we had Parmesan crusted tilapia and some like Parmesan pasta, and we're going to start off with the tilapia. I have shown this before. I am just mixing together about half a cup of panko breadcrumbs and 1 cup of shredded Parmesan cheese, and then whatever seasoning you want. I use some blackened seasoning and some salt and pepper and garlic powder, and just mix that together. And then I've got 4 pieces of tilapia here. Again, seasoning with whatever seasoning you want. I did the blackened seasoning again, a little bit of salt and pepper and garlic powder. And then you're going to want to put about a tablespoon of sour cream on each piece of the tilapia and spread it out over the top of it. And then we're just going to sprinkle on that breadcrumb mixture, and then put this in the oven on 425 for about 15 minutes. It turns out so delicious. I've made this many times with tilapia, and then for chicken I like to do cheddar cheese and like a breadcrumb mixture. That was the original recipe, and then I came up with this one for tilapia, and I've been making it for years now. Okay, this next recipe is supposed to be like a copycat pasta Roni, like Parmesan pasta recipe. So I'm just starting off by heating up a splash of olive oil and then cooking up a bunch of minced garlic for a couple of minutes. She said to use a whole bulb of garlic and mince it, but I did probably about 5 or 6 cloves because I just didn't want to mince up a whole head of garlic. And then after that cooks for a couple minutes, then you can add in 4 tablespoons of salted butter and let that melt. And then I'm also adding in some salt and pepper. I didn't add too much salt because the chicken broth that I'm going to be adding is the Knorr chicken bouillon, and it's a little salty. So I added 3 cups of that. I mixed 3 cups of water with 3 teaspoons of the Knorr chicken bouillon, and then just brought that to a boil. And once it came to a boil, I added in 8 ounces of angel hair pasta and just let that cook until the pasta was done. Most of your liquid is going to be absorbed and your noodles are going to get tender. Once the pasta was done, I turned the heat down to low and then just added in 1 cup of grated Parmesan cheese, freshly grated, and then I did 3/4 of a cup of milk. She said heavy cream. I didn't have it, so I just used regular milk, and it turned out fine. And 1 tablespoon of dried parsley, and that's it. You can let it sit for a couple minutes. It'll thicken up a little bit more. This turned out delicious and definitely better than like a pastaroni box, but still pretty quick and easy. And here's how the tilapia turned out. You can also broil it for about a minute if it's not getting browned on top the way that you want. Sometimes I feel like I have to do that and sometimes I don't. I think I did on this night broil it for like 2 to 3 minutes. And then we had some air fried broccoli on the side as well as our pasta. Wednesday night we had shepherd's pie. I have shared this recipe quite a few times on my channel, so I'm not going to show you today everything that I did to make it. I had to make it with ground beef this time because Aldi was out of ground lamb, but we prefer it with ground lamb. So I'm going to link a video down below of me making it step by step with ground lamb, but just keep in mind you can make it with ground beef as well, and it turns out pretty good. Just we really like the flavor of the ground lamb in it. So yeah, that was dinner for Wednesday, and to go with it, we had these cheddar and chive biscuits that I had in the freezer. They were microwavable biscuits that I got at Aldi, and they were delicious. Everyone loved them except for Elijah. He didn't like it, but he doesn't like chives very much, so I think that's why he didn't like it. But Andy loved it, Lily loved it, and I loved it. The biscuits are really good. And the last meal of the week, we just threw some pork loins in the crock pot with some potatoes. So I cut up a bunch of potatoes, probably too many, but I wanted to use them up. So I added those to my crock pot. I added on some Knorr chicken bouillon powder, salt, pepper, garlic powder, some lemon pepper, and I think that's it. And then I added in some Chef Chamois garlic butter and a little bit of water, and then I'm going to add on these lemon garlic pork tenderloins that I got at Kroger on clearance. I add 2 of them in there because one of them would be enough for dinner, but we wanted leftovers, and plus I'm cooking up a ton of potatoes, so I just put those on top of the potatoes, put a lid on this, and let this cook on low for about 8 hours. And then when it's done, this is what it looks like. You can check, make sure that your pork is fully cooked, and then I just pick them up and take them out and slice them up. They were super tender this time, so they started to like shred when I was slicing them up. But you just want to slice them up or shred them up, whatever you want to do, and then serve them on the side with your potatoes. And then I also made some green beans as well. If you like fresh green beans, you could definitely add fresh green beans into the crock pot and cook it with this, and that would be delicious. But we prefer canned green beans, so I just did that on the side. This was a super simple dinner, just kind of throw some things together that I had on hand. And that is going to be it for this week's What's for Dinner. I hope that y'all got some new meal ideas. If you did, let me know what you plan on trying in the comments down below. And make sure you leave me a smiley face emoji down there as well to let me know that you made it here all the way to the end. I hope you'll have a great rest of your weekend and a great week. And I will see y'all on the next one. Bye.